Instead of using an ideal state to derive conclusions about a world in flux, Austrians felt it was more important to begin with the chaos and discover how coordination took place. This focus led first to an acknowledgement of the importance of uncertainty. The uncertainty of the future is one of the main marks of the human condition, states Mises. It taints all manifestations of life and action. One of the assumptions built into standard economic modeling, however, was that individuals had perfect knowledge of all factors affecting their decisions. Menger, though, asserted that error is inseparable from all human knowledge. Now, the statements of Mises and Menger regarding human ignorance don't necessarily imply the inevitability of irrational behavior in response. Neither the admitted unknowability of the future, explains Kerzner, nor the admitted human propensity to err, nor any combination of the two is able totally to frustrate human efforts to act rationally for the uncertain future. How coordination is possible in the face of such ignorance and uncertainty thus became an area of focus for Austrian economists. The answer came in part in the form of prices. Because knowledge is dispersed widely and often possessed tacitly, prices serve the function of gathering in and relaying a huge volume of data in readily comprehensible form. According to Hayek, prices can act to coordinate and the separate actions of different people in the same way as subjective values help the individual to coordinate the parts of his plan. For Austrians, then, speculation and entrepreneurship play key roles in understanding the action of the market. Entrepreneurial behavior drives the market toward better outcomes. Instead of seeing how the entrepreneur had disturbed the placid status quo, says Kerzner, we must see how the status quo is nothing but a seething mass of unexploited maladjustments crying out for correction. That's a catchy phrase. Uncertainty thus becomes empowering rather than crippling when you see the world in this way. In the words of Kerzner, it is the essential freedom with which the envisaged future may diverge from the realized future. So, what was it about the neoclassical approach that proved so attractive? As mentioned before, these neoclassical ideas emerged from a similar stream of marginalist thinking as that of Menger. Jevons and Walras, though, pursued a course of study that they felt more closely matched that of the natural sciences. From attempting to gain a philosophical understanding of the nature of human coordination and the workings of the marketplace, economics increasingly became a mathematical pursuit with the goal of predicting behavior. Neoclassical economics, states Ebeling, tends to think of the market as a set of supply and demand functions with which the economist searches mathematically for a simultaneous solution that is viewed as the defining characteristic of a general market equilibrium. This purported ability to analyze cause and effect and predict the future made neoclassical economists popular in political spheres. In contrast to the Austrians, the post-Keynesians were both theoretically and politically involved, as Emil Lupin states. The central thrust of the Austrian critique of neoclassical economics is that through its equations and its models, it becomes too far removed from the realities of human life and the economic situation that life brings about. For Austrians, neoclassical economic modeling counts as a mere variable in the equation, that which is for them the key to understanding economics, human action. According to Ebeling, man is not merely one of the many quantitative variables, the simultaneous interaction of which produce a general equilibrium solution. Man, instead, is the focal Archimedean point around which the social world revolves and comes into being. Thus, the process of consumer choice and entrepreneurial coordination, rather than an ideal end state, should be the focus of study. This type of persistent protest from Austrian economists places the school in a unique position. As I alluded to earlier, the language of the Austrians in many ways serves as a type of minor literature. This phrase was first introduced by the French philosophers Gilles Deleuze and Félix Guattari in their 1975 book, Kafka, Toward a Theory of Minor Literature. According to the two, a minor literature doesn't come from a minor language. It is rather that which a minority constructs within a major language. Thus, Austrians can be seen as a minority within the larger narrative of mainstream economic thought. As Peter Bethke states, in comparing neoclassical economics with Austrian economics, it is important to recognize first and foremost that Austrian economics is historically a school within the broader tradition of neoclassical economics. This is consistent with the defining characteristics of minor literature. Minor no longer designates specific literatures, but the revolutionary conditions for every literature within the heart of what is called great or established literature, explain Deleuze and Guattari. On the other hand, the two see minor literature as that which will tear out of the major language all the qualities of underdevelopment that it has tried to hide. Therefore, Bethke asserts with equal conviction that with regard to what neoclassical economics has become and the way that the original marginalist project is now understood within the mainstream, Austrian economics is every bit as heterodox as any of the alternative schools of thought. This character is evident from the school's very beginning. Thieben and Kaiser note that this reputation for contrariness began with the Austrian school's founding father, Karl Menger. He founded a tradition in economics which differed in outlook, method, and contents from the contemporary orthodoxies. Thus, while arguing from a shared marginalist foundation, Austrian economics has, throughout its history, challenged the presuppositions and presumptions of the dominant strain of economic thought in an effort to transform that strain into one that better reflects reality. That is the glory of this sort of minor literature, declared Deleuze and Guattari, to be the revolutionary force for all literature.